Today we will talk about a case that shook all of Latin America and the world. A case that embodies the fight for the defense of the environment, the rights of indigenous peoples, and the relentless search for justice, the assassination of Berta Cáceres. Her story is much more than the tragedy of her death. It's a symbol of resistance, courage, and commitment to the planet. Berta Cáceres was a Honduran indigenous leader and activist who dedicated her life to protecting the land and the rights of indigenous Lenca communities. But her fight was tragically cut short when she was murdered on March 2, 2016. What led to her death? Who was behind this crime? And what does her legacy mean today? Berta Cáceres was born on March 4, 1971, in La Esperanza, Honduras. Of Lenca origin, one of the most important indigenous ethnic groups in Honduras, Berta grew up in a household committed to social justice. From a young age, she became involved in struggles for the rights of her community and the environment. In 1993, along with other indigenous and campesino leaders, she co-founded the Council of Popular and Indigenous Organizations of Honduras, known as COPIN. COPIN was crucial in resisting development projects that affected the environment and the ancestral lands of indigenous communities. Over the years, Berta led mobilizations to protect forests, rivers, and mountains from the destruction caused by national and foreign companies. But one of the most emblematic cases of her struggle was the defense of the Gualcarque River, a sacred place for the Lenca people. When the company Desarrollos Energéticos S.A., DESA, decided to build the Agua Zarca hydroelectric dam, without the consent of local communities, Berta became their main adversary. The Agua Zarca project, financed by national and foreign investors, aimed to build a dam on the Gualcarque River, a vital place not only for the livelihood of the Lenca communities but also for its cultural and spiritual value. The indigenous communities were not consulted, violating the principle of free, prior, and informed consent, which is protected by international law. Berta, along with COPIN, organized peaceful protests and legal actions to stop the project. They faced powerful forces, multinational companies, local authorities, and armed groups. Despite constant intimidation and threats, the fight continued. In 2015, Berta was awarded the prestigious Goldman Environmental Prize for her bravery in defending the environment, an international recognition that brought her struggle to a global stage. On March 2, 2016, at her home in La Esperanza, Honduras, Berta Cáceres was brutally murdered. Two armed men broke into her home and shot her. That night, the world lost a tireless fighter. But who was behind this crime? The initial investigations were slow and focused on low-level culprits. But international pressure and the work of human rights organizations such as COPIN and Amnesty International demanded justice. As investigations progressed, it became clear that the murder was not an isolated act. In 2018, 7 people were convicted of Berta's murder, including ex-military personnel and hired hitmen. However, the true scandal erupted when it was revealed that one of the intellectual authors was David Castillo, former manager of DESA, the company behind the Agua Zarca project. Castillo was arrested in 2018, and after a lengthy judicial process, in 2021, he was convicted as a co-conspirator in Berta's murder. The investigations revealed that Castillo had been in direct contact with the hitmen and that her murder was part of a plan to silence her fight and allow the Agua Zarca project to proceed. Berta Cáceres' death did not stop the fight of indigenous communities nor the global movement for the defense of the environment. Her murder highlighted the violence faced by activists and defenders of the land, not only in Honduras but around the world. Today, Berta is remembered as a martyr of the environmental movement. Her name has inspired new generations of activists to continue fighting for environmental justice, for indigenous rights, and against corruption and abuse of power. Berta's legacy lives on in every action for the defense of the earth, in every protest for indigenous rights, and in every effort to build a more just and sustainable future.